Hi everybody. For my presentation this week I chose Psych. I think it's a hilarious show. I've seen the series through 3-4 times and it never gets old. So the episode I picked is in Season 4, Episode 1, and if you watch Psych, this is the first time that we see Pierre Despereaux. He is an international art thief, and Sean and Gus, who are the two main characters of this show, they go on a ski trip to Canada, and Sean recognizes this face, and he calls kind of a friend of his named Carlton Lassiter, and he is a detective with the Santa Barbara Police Department. Calls him, confirms that it is the art thief, and then proceeds to capture him. But Sean and Gus are unable to subdue him, and so they kind of unwillingly welcome Detective Lassiter and Juliet O'Hara to Canada to help them. Sean and Gus did catch up with the art thief a couple of times, but they were never able to convict him of the crime that he did or just simply capture him. And so they were still trying to understand how Pierre pulled off stealing the art. So toward the end, we see Sean kind of set up a plan to capture Pierre in the act, and so he waited outside of a museum that he thought was going to be vandalized next, and he was correct, but Pierre never entered the museum, and when the museum closed, Sean went in and realized that the crown was already missing. And when he found that it was missing, he kind of put two and two together, that if no one went in and no one came out with the crown, then it was never really stolen, and that this was just a case of insurance fraud. And at the very end of the episode, Sean and Gus again catch up with Pierre as he is about to leave on a plane off of a lake, and it's then that Pierre pulls his gun and holds Sean at gunpoint while Sean gives an overview of everything that Pierre did and how his plan went down. And this is just a stall until Detective Lassiter and Juliet O'Hara got there and subdued Pierre. So when we're looking at the amusement for the audience, Sean is a very sarcastic person. He is constantly referencing several pop culture deals in a very hilarious way. And then we also see interactions with random characters. One episode we see here, they worked with a polar bear the entire time. And so there's just very interesting people that bring a definite interesting aspect to the show. The next thing we see is a setting. This one takes place in Canada, but normally they're in Santa Barbara. And so, being that they were able to switch scenes like this, it gives you a new viewing pleasure, and you just it's welcoming to the audience. Next, Sean has relationships with two women specifically throughout the series. The first one is Juliet O'Hara, and in the beginning he likes her, but she's not interested, and so he moves on and begins to date a preschool teacher named Abigail. She ends up moving away, and then Juliet comes back into the picture, and they establish a romantic relationship that lasts toward the end. The last thing for amusement is just the mystery. Most of these mysteries come across as unsolvable, yet Sean and Gus are able to solve them. When they're solving these mysteries, Sean is definitely the main focus with his gift, and he claims that his gift is a psychic power, but really he just has a photographic memory, and so every time he does this, he's filtering back through all the images in his head to try and put one piece of information with another piece of information, and he puts those two together and he figures it out. So Sean is seen in just about every scene, and he controls the progress of the investigation more so than the detectives do. And then when he had the breakthrough, they're normally self-discovered, meaning he was given a piece of information, and he had a piece of information here, and he put them together and had that breakthrough. Lastly, the plans that he establishes are internalized, and they're not really shared, which kind of gives him a Sherlock complex, not sharing his plans, not being very open, although he is more open for sure than Sherlock Holmes. When they're navigating the dangerous world, they're constantly confronting danger. They went to Canada on vacation, and they confronted an international art thief. And then in that, multiple times, while they were supposed to be on their vacation, they were held at gunpoint. In other episodes, we see Shawn and Gus just happening upon other murders and mysteries. Shawn went to a dinner party that he should not have been at, and when he was hiding under a bed, he found a dead body. Another case is someone claimed to be abducted by an alien, and the police didn't have time for it, so Psych took it and ultimately found that there were actual, a real-world conspiracy going on, non-alien related. And then the last one, we see Juliet's father is a con man, and when Shawn and Juliet developed their romantic relationship, Shawn was confronted with dangers of that con man. Lastly, the criminal justice system correlates best with this series, but kind of in a bad way, because the show makes a mockery of the criminal justice system. Psych is constantly being hired to assist in investigations, and that's just proving that the detectives aren't able to do it by themselves. And so each time Psych assists the detectives, they are found to be wrong. Shawn and Gus aren't conventional by any means, and they have no police training. And so being that they can come in and just do the job of a detective is a bit of a mockery. Lastly, some cases are closed when they believe that there was no foul play, or there's a guilty part. They think that there's a guilty party, and they have some proof, yet Psych comes in and undermines that belief that the police originally had, improvises another belief, and then proves the police wrong and proves their theory to be right. And when Psych proves them right, they're not gentle in harassing those who were wrong. In fact, this is Detective Lassiter, and in one of the episodes he was nicknamed Detective Dipstick, and he was harassed for that, just because he followed a lead that wasn't right. And then when he follows a lead that's not right, Psych comes in, finishes it, and takes credit for the final apprehension of the criminal. So that's my presentation. I definitely recommend you guys go watch Psych. It's so funny. I laugh every time, and I know you will too. Thanks.